everyone, and welcome to Shell Point Today for Wednesday, November 18th. I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi.
And I'm Rich Nation. Thanks for joining us. On today's program, Village Church Pastor Andy Hawkins will talk about marriage equality and the church, and how the U.S. Supreme Court's decision may impact churches and nonprofit organizations such as Shell Point. And Shell Point's Director of Marketing and Communications, Rich Cerrina, will talk about the results of the recent SPTV survey.
But first, we want to remind you about the Aviation Club meeting tomorrow in the Social Center. Ken and Carol Boyd of Sand Dollar recently traveled to Oshkosh, Wisconsin to attend the Air Venture Convention of the Experimental Aircraft Association. It's the largest aircraft exhibition anywhere, and the Boyds brought back plenty of exciting pictures to share at the club meeting. Everything from warbirds, experimental, sport, aerobatic, commercial, blimps, and more. So head over to the Social Center at 1:15 p.m. tomorrow.
Another meeting taking place tomorrow is the Computer Club. Mike Peterson from Computer Medics will talk about electronic holiday gift-giving ideas, from computers to tablets, smartphones, health and fitness wearables, and more. Mike will explain the technology landscape and answer your questions as well. It all takes place at 2:15 tomorrow in the Manatee Room on the island.
There's a final opportunity to learn about assisted living this month at the King's Crown. Tomorrow, Rita Southern, Director of Assisted Living, will give a presentation followed by a tour of the facility. You'll meet the case manager and view the types of units available. Seating is limited, so make sure you are signed up by calling 454-2077.
The recent U.S. Supreme Court decision on marriage equality will be the topic of discussion in a special Academy class presentation taking place next week. How does this ruling affect churches, Christian colleges, businesses, and nonprofit organizations such as Shell Point? Village Church Pastor Andy Hawkins visits with Terry Colath to talk about this and the importance of attending next week's presentation.
Hello everyone, I'm Terry Colath. I'm here with Pastor Andy Hawkins, our senior pastor of the Village Church, to talk about a program he's going to present for us in the Academy this semester on the Marriage Equality Act, Marriage Equality and the Church. Thank you for joining me, Pastor Andy.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It is so nice that you bring your background as a teacher along with your role as our senior pastor to us in the Academy, because we can look at things outside of your Sunday sermon, and we can learn more about our faith.
I trust so.
Thank you. Now, this marriage equality in the church, this recent Supreme Court decision, we know does have implications that may affect us, and I assume you're going to be talking about some of them.
We certainly are, but let me first of all describe a little bit about what we won't talk about, because I think it's one of those issues that continues to expand, and a lot of people have lots of questions. Obviously, as a pastor of an evangelical church, I get a lot of those kinds of questions. This is not going to be a session about the biblical understanding of sexual ethics, for instance, and all those kinds of things. There's a time and place for that conversation, but that's not really what we're going to look at here. We're not going to analyze the Supreme Court decision on the basis of biblical understanding or anything along those lines either. Again, that's another conversation for another time and place. What we are going to look at is how the Supreme Court decision that just took place this past summer with respect to marriage equality, what implications it happens to have for a number of different individuals and organizations. Obviously, the traditional view of marriage has been essentially redefined by the court as far as the laws of the United States of America are concerned. Those things are not congruent with the sort of traditional understanding of the nature of marriage for organizations that are founded on Judeo-Christian principles, generally speaking. And so we're going to assume that there are sincerely held religious convictions by people that really hold biblical ethics to a high standard in their thinking, that are going to have some effects with respect to this particular decision. We don't really know what those effects are because a lot of them will be litigated in the next 5 years. But there are some things on the horizon that we ought to talk about from a religious liberty perspective, and that's the kind of thing that we're going to be discussing. A lot of people wonder, does this change what churches are able to do, for instance? Whether or not pastors will be forced to perform same-sex marriages, for instance, or whether they'll have to hire people without regard to their convictions on sexual ethics or things along those lines. So churches are, in one way or another, wondering about where they stand with respect to how this law affects them. But it's not just churches. Obviously, a lot of Christian organizations are affected by this kind of thing. Colleges and universities, for instance, are affected by this. Many of them receive federal funds. Will those be used as leverage to force historically Christian institutions to look at sexual ethics differently than they have been traditionally? And then other organizations that are associated with the church in one way or another, but aren't churches per se, like Shell Point, which is owned by the denomination with which the Village Church is associated, the Christian and Missionary Alliance. What will be the effect on those organizations with respect to how this decision has come down? And then if you continue sort of to go down the list, then you have to wonder about Christian-owned businesses and whether or not they'll be forced to provide services, for instance, for religious events that endorse same-sex marriages and things like that. We've already seen litigation along those lines, and then just individuals in particular. So there's a whole possibility of effects that this law has on the way people conduct their religious franchise, which is given to us in the First Amendment of the Constitution. And so how we are able to practice the faith, how we're able to freely speak about the things that we're convinced of could be affected by this particular decision. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to explore.
So not unlike other Supreme Court decisions, how does this work out throughout the land?
That's exactly right.
And how does it affect various constituencies in the land?
Yeah, we'll look at what the Supreme Court decision entailed. In other words, the Supreme Court decision really was designed to address two particular questions. We'll identify what those questions were and how the Supreme Court landed on those things. And they'll also look at the language in the Supreme Court decision that reflected religious liberty. They did make some indication that religious liberty ought to be respected, but it left open a whole range of questions that certainly were not decided with respect to how those things should be handled. And so we'll talk about what language they included, what they didn't include, and then try to sort out what the possibilities might be going down the road.
And you're probably not going to do this all on your own. You're bringing in some forces.
Oh, thankfully, I am indeed. And fortunately, I have reinforcements right in my own family. I'm really excited about this because my son, Matthew Hawkins, works for the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission of the Southern Baptist Convention. And the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission is the public policy arm of that denomination, which is the largest Protestant denomination in the nation. And in addition to that, he's the coalitions director. So what Matt does is he works with other faith-based groups that have some kind of an interest in religious freedom issues. It doesn't matter whether they're Christians or not. There are all kinds of groups. He'll work with the Baha'i and as well as the Roman Catholics and the Protestant denominations and Jewish groups. He'll work with anybody that has some kind of interest in protecting religious freedom in the United States. And so as a result, his organization has been deeply involved in the implications behind this marriage equality decision. And so we're just, I'm thrilled that he's going to be able to join us and have this conversation with him because he knows an awful lot more about it than I do, quite frankly.
That is wonderful. Well, we have a lot to look forward to, and we invite you to join us. It is Tuesday, November 24th, 2 to 3:30 in the Grand Cypress Room. We have had a sign up for this, so please make sure you sign up at either service desk so that everybody fits in the Grand Cypress Room to listen to these two esteemed presenters talk about marriage equality and the church.
This summer, the marketing department of Shell Point released an SPTV viewing survey for residents. The purpose of the survey was to obtain feedback from you, the viewers, about the content that we produce. The survey asked questions about the show segments, topics, and information that you enjoy, as well as what else you might like to see. To give us an idea of the findings from the survey, here's Marketing and Communications Director Rich Cerrina to explain further.
Hi, my name is Rich Cerrina, and I have the pleasure of serving Shell Point as the Director of Marketing and Communications. In a community as active and vibrant as ours, there's always a great deal of information to communicate. Information about activities, programs, services, events, educational opportunities, regular announcements, and so much more. And a dedicated team of contributors, Resident Life, Administration, the Legacy Foundation, Dining Services, the Village Church, Healthcare, and others work together to keep it all going. As I hope you already know, we use a variety of communication tools to get the job done. Among them, Shell Point Life magazine, the shellpoint.net resident website, the weekly reminder, various newsletters, and of course, SPTV and the show Shell Point Today. You may be interested to know that SPTV and the Shell Point Today show is in its 10th year of production. Over the course of those 10 years, at points along the way, we've done what every good organization should: evaluate its product, and if necessary, make adjustments. Adjustments and improvements when possible based on viewer habits and preferences, technological advancements, and organizational needs. So, a few months ago, we decided it was time again to take a closer look at SPTV and ask for feedback on how we're doing through a survey. The survey included questions about viewing habits, content production, and overall communication. Since that time, we have received a number of inquiries about the results, so my team has compiled some and I'd like to share them with you. As usual, when Shell Point residents are asked to help, you come through. Out of 1,500 surveys distributed, 546, or 36%, were return completed, an excellent response in my book. We learned that nearly 3/4 of Shell Point residents watch SPTV either every day or several times per week. Of the 4 SPTV outlets, Channel 11, 12, 13, and shellpoint.net, residents view Channel 11 the most. 92% of respondents said they view Channel 11, followed by Channel 13, Channel 12, and the resident website. Regarding content, residents responded generally positively to all the content presented on SPTV, but the highest rated topics of interest are human interest features and resident interviews, medical information, daily announcements, administrative reminders, and birthdays and anniversaries. When we asked the question, which attributes are most important for SPTV, you shared that most important to you are that SPTV be informative, reliable, and professional. Nearly all residents, 91% in fact, affirm that SPTV is an important part of resident communication. Additionally, 82% of respondents also said SPTV understands and relates to the resident audience, and 80% of respondents said they enjoy watching SPTV. In addition to statistical information, additional feedback was collected from free response questions. We continue to study that information and will be using it to help direct and improve future programming. In fact, we've already been able to improve one of those technical issues referenced often in those survey comments. Hopefully you've noticed that the lip sync issue, that is the sound matching up with the video, has been corrected. A number of other interesting and exciting ideas are in the concept stages, and we'll be working with Shell Point staff and perhaps even some of you to evaluate and work toward implementing some of those ideas in the coming months. So stay tuned and keep watching.
Hi, I'm Heather Batty with Resort Services, and today I have a very special guest that I'm sure you all know. I have with me today the Vice President of Medical Services here at Shell Point, and that's Dr. Hirchak. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you, Heather, and thank you for having me, and I look forward to our short period of time together.
Yeah, so how long have you been here at Shell Point?
Actually, it'll be 18 years this coming May.
So you have actually seen the healthcare system here at Shell Point really evolve.
Yes. Part of the reason I formerly worked for Lee Memorial Health System. Part of my responsibility at the Lee Memorial Health System was help develop an integrated healthcare delivery system. So about 17 and a half years ago, when Dr. Dice asked if I would shift gears and come over here, my main focus, Heather, was to help develop at ShellPoint an integrated healthcare delivery system where my target is 85% of all of the healthcare needs that our residents require could be met right here at ShellPoint without leaving the campus, other than hospital admissions or specialty services that we may not have on campus.
Right, so we have here, you can touch on mind, body, and spirit all here just at ShellPoint.
Yes, we could. I have always, as a physician, I have always focused in on, if you don't treat the body, the mind, and the spirit, and then something is sick. Many people don't know that psychophysiologic, if we don't treat the mind, 70% of our illnesses sometimes start in the mind, then they become real. So again, if we don't have a behavioral health department to treat the mind and a psychiatrist that comes in to adjust medications if needed, if we don't have internal medicine, family practice, geriatric staff to treat the body, and then the spirit. Everybody knows what ShellPoint is all about, part of the Christian Missionary Alliance, and it's important that even spiritually we are healthy. So my focus as a physician is always, and to this day when I treat patients, is focus on the body, mind, and the spirit.
And I think that's wonderful because, as you said, like a psychosomatic symptom could definitely start and you think one way, and if your mind isn't in the right place, it definitely can take a toll with stress, anxiety, aging. Those things are a lot of pressure.
All of those things, and it is true. And also in this day and age, Heather, of an administration, a government that's making us focus a little bit more on health and preventive medicine, which I do think is good, the preventive medicine part. You know, we all have to play a part in that. The healthier we are, the less we have to tap into the insurance companies, the less we have to go to our physicians other than maybe routine visits. So we really do our part in not debiting from our kids' future health benefits by staying healthy. And again, that's part of what we have done here at ShellPoint. Sometimes, Heather, many of our residents do not know the depth of our provider services. And that's what I'm hoping to next Friday on the 20th get into a little bit more detail. Do our residents know all that we have to offer? And many don't. When I get a letter or an email of complaint from a resident, and yes, I do, that we don't have enough providers, I tell you, we have more providers than people have any idea, plus ancillary services to go along with that. Right. Most CCRCs would just, I don't want to use the word die, to give their right arm just to have the depth of medical services that we have offered to our ShellPoint residents that sometimes they do take for granted. So I'm hoping on the 20th people will show up, so I don't want them taking this for granted, but I would like them to know the levels of health care that we do have here at ShellPoint.
You know, something I get asked a lot by new residents is, how do I pick my doctor? So that might be another topic to, discuss as well, along with everything you're going to talk about.
And we do have choice, Heather, because we have total of 9 providers, which I'll get into, that are employed by ShellPoint, plus 25 specialists. Right. But it's really imperative that residents, when they first come into ShellPoint, do choose a medical provider through the medical center, and there are choices. So it's important that they get established. Our practice, like every other practice, is a group practice. Someone might come in and just only want Dr. Chapman or Dr. Chin or Dr. DeGraff. But if one of those doctors aren't there, or they're on vacation, or they're ill, it's a group practice. We'll get people in. They may not be able to see their primary care physician on that day, but if they have an emergency, we never turn emergencies away, and we will get them in. So again, it's like any other group practice. I like to say it's better than any other group practice, Absolutely. But it is like a group practice. So people that say, I can't get in to see my doctor, maybe not, but they could get in to see another provider, another physician or nurse practitioner whenever that is needed.
Well, there's definitely, I think, that feeling of safety and security knowing that. So I think that this program is just really going to be helpful for the residents that have been living here for quite some time and all of the new residents we have coming in.
Yeah, I certainly
So
hope
make sure you register for Healthcare at Shell Point, Mind, Body, and Spirit with our one and only Dr. Hirchak, and it's on November 20th in the Grand Cypress Room at 2 p.m. Thank you, and stay happy and healthy.
And now it's time to take a look at today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Welcome to the happening segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Bev Chandley, and this is Caitlin Van Scoy. We're going to tell you the activities going on here today at Shell Point. We're going to start with men's Bible study at 7:45 in the Osprey Room this morning. At 8 o'clock, the men's match play tennis will be at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. The pickleball will be going on at the pickleball courts at 8 o'clock. At 8:45, you'll find Lilly & Company Jewelers here for their weekly jewelry service. That's in the Resident Activities Center. The watercolor group with Phil Hilton will be in the art studio at 9 o'clock. And at 9:15, the card making and scrapbooking group will be in the Tarpon Room. The ladies' Bible study will be in the Osprey Room at 10 o'clock. Also at 10 o'clock, we have the men's match play tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. The Model Yacht Sailing Club will be at the Woodland Commons Lakes at 10:15. And at 11 o'clock, the Neuropathy Support Group will be in the Oak Room at the Woodlands. We have a Health Connections class at 11:30, Agility and Flexibility. That's in the Health Club. Sign up is required. That concludes the morning. Caitlin's going to continue into our afternoon.
Well, thank you, Bev. We start at 12:45 with the Health Connections class, Advanced Senior Strength. That's in the Health Club on the island. We move to 1 o'clock for chess in the Library Lounge. From 1:30 to 3:30 today, the Model Train Room will be open for complimentary tours and viewing. That's down in the Island Tunnel. At 1:45, we have a Health Connections class, Balance and Mobility Training for Beginners. That's in the Health Club. Another Health Connections class follows that at 2:15, Healthy Heart, Minimally Invasive Heart Surgery. That'll be in the Village Church on the island. You do need to sign up for that since it is sponsored by the Legacy. Knitters Anonymous will be at 2:15 in the Osprey Room. And Jazz and Stuff will be at 2:30 in the Grand Cypress Room. Bible study will be in the Community Room of King's Crown at 3 o'clock. And also at 3 o'clock, another Health Connections class, Pilates Stretch, in the Health Club. Indoor bocce will be held in the Health Club at 4:30. We move to 5 o'clock for the singles table. That'll be available at the Crystal Dining Room. At 5:45, church choir rehearsal will be in the choir room of the Village Church. And we round out our Wednesday at 7:15 with prayer and praise at the Village Church. Well, we hope you have a great day today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Wednesday. At 9:45, Introduction to Android Tablets and Smartphones continues in the Technology Teaching Center on the island. At 10 o'clock, Color, Color, Color continues in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. And at 1:30, Torn Paper Self-Portrait continues in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. At 3 o'clock, our Internet Prep School continues in the Computer Center at the Woodlands. I'd like to tell you about a new class coming tomorrow, and it's Coffee with the Neighbor number 3, Our Lives in a Changing World. This will be presented by Jerry and Peter Nanfelt of Lucina.
Menus for Wednesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is hearty beef stew in a bread bowl with fried green beans. The dinner special is the International Buffet for $14.95, and the soup of the day is lima bean. In the Island Cafe for lunch, you can have a teriyaki chicken sandwich with pineapple and fries for $7.75. The dinner special is fried shrimp for $8.75. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill are Chilean sea bass for $22.95 or seared sirloin steak for $16.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, I'm Randy Woods. It's a privilege to serve as the Minister of Worship and Music here at the Village Church at Shell Point. And again this year, I'm privileged to talk to you about our Season of Praise concert series. As in the past, this year we will continue to present some outstanding inspirational concerts and programs throughout the season. The first one is just right around the corner as we celebrate Christmas with C.S. Lewis. On Sunday evening, December 5th, you'll want to come out as actor David Payne comes all the way from England as he's touring the United States in this one-man presentation, a dramatic portrayal of C.S. Lewis. You'll enjoy the conversation, such as what you'll hear right in this video clip.
His opening remarks with these words: "The world does not exist. England does not exist. Oxford does not exist. And I am quite sure I do not exist." And I got up and I said, I feel very silly replying to a man who's not there. So I leaned forward and kissed her full on the lips. And when I had finished kissing her, I said, goodness gracious, I have not kissed a woman like that in over 30 years. I can tell, she said.
Be sure to come and join us for Christmas with C.S. Lewis on December 5th. And then as we start the new year, the tradition has been to have Tim Zimmerman and the King's Brass. And again this season in January, we will welcome the King's Brass here to the Village Church. You'll not want to miss the music. It has such variety between the toe tapping and those moments of awe as the brass players and the organ swell to a grand crescendo and expressions of praise. And this year we'll be pleased to have some of our own residents participate in the concert as well. And then in March, there are two concerts, the Indiana Wesleyan University Chorale. And what a great opportunity it is to welcome the energy, the zeal of youth right back to the church and to share in their ministry of song. As the choir in the past has been with us, I know again this season you'll enjoy the diversity of their program and the excellence of their music as they share with us in March. In Easter, we're looking forward to having Rachel Park with us. Rachel is a phenomenal musician as a pianist and an organist. As she's finishing her doctorate program this season, she'll be presenting a solo recital. She had been with us in January with the King's Brass as their accompanist, but now as a pianist and an organist, she will share in our Easter celebration, playing for the Sunday morning service as well as a Sunday night solo concert on Easter Sunday. And then we conclude the Season of Praise concert series in April with Tenore, which is a 3-tenor male ensemble. Very unique and certainly winning a lot of awards. These young men serve in churches throughout the country as worship leaders, as soloists, and they combine their hearts, their talents, their voices for a special concert in April. The Season of Praise continues with these exceptional opportunities for us to gather and worship, to celebrate God's goodness through the arts. So I trust that you'll get your tickets and join us. You can come to the church and get your tickets right here at the church during regular office hours, or you can go online at shellpoint.org/SOP for Season of Praise. There's a brochure available at the church as well as the Activity Center. You can get your copy, but be sure to get tickets. $10 per person for each of those concerts, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the season as we share in this celebration of praise unto the Lord.
Thanks for joining us today. On tomorrow's program, Melody Desolé will give us a taste of what to expect at the Gift Shop Extravaganza coming up next month, and we'll bring you some highlights from last week's charity golf tournament. Until then, I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi.
And I'm Rich Nation. This has been Shell Point Today for Wednesday, November 18th. On behalf of all of us here at SPTV, we hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again here tomorrow.